Okay, class. So this demo is for the muscles of thigh region. Okay, including um, muscles that move the hip joint and muscles that move the knee joint. So basically muscles that move the femur and muscles that move the tibia. We are going to be discussing both. So muscles that move the femur and tibia. So we're going to talk about the muscles of the femoral region. Some of them are muscles that extend from hip to thigh, and others are basically from the, well, moving the knee joint. Okay, muscles that move the femur and tibia. So first, we are looking at a deeper view here. So let me change the color. The deeper view, when the front section, meaning the internal organs, are removed and the chest plate and the anterior part of the abdominopelvic cavity is removed, this is the view that we are looking at. So two muscles that move the femur that are pretty deep are psoas major and iliacus. Psoas major, and here iliacus. Okay. Psoas major and iliacus. Psoas major is coming down from the vertebral column on both sides of the vertebra. Iliacus, as the name suggests, is from the iliac crest. Both are being inserted into the femur as what we call iliopsoas complex. So look down here, right there. This is the glimpse of what we call the iliopsoas complex. Basically, psoas major and iliacus together being inserted into the femur. The muscles of this whole area, this is what you will casually refer to as the medial compartment, meaning the medial area of the thigh. The femoral region is pretty extensive, quite a few muscles. So you can, for convenience, divide the muscles into the muscles of the medial compartment and muscles of the anterior compartment and muscles of the posterior compartment. Okay, so here we are going to talk about the medial compartment and the anterior compartment. So, psoas major, iliacus, iliopsoas complex, and inferior to the iliopsoas complex, here, this is known as Pectineus. So, psoas major, let's see if I can have a different color. Maybe red is better. Psoas major, iliacus, iliopsoas, Pectineus. This is the medial compartment. Medial compartment. Okay, and then one of the longest muscles in the body, Sartorius. Okay. So Sartorius is the only muscle that goes from lateral to medial, from the os coxae all the way to the medial part of the knee joint. Okay. So this is the only muscle that goes from lateral to medial. It's responsible for lateral rotation of the knee joint. You can also see the muscle tensor Fasciae latae. Tensor fasciae latae is a muscle that runs from the ossa coxa again, or rather you can say os coxae, to the iliotibial tract. Iliotibial tract is a deep band of fascia that serves as insertion for tensor fasciae latae, gluteus maximus, and it runs, as the name suggests, it runs from the ilium area to the tibial region, lateral of the femur, lateral to the femur, iliotibial tract. So we'll look at that in a second. So tensor fasciae latae is Sartorius, and we looked at iliopsoas and pectineus. So again, identify the same muscles in a different model. Psoas major, iliacus, iliopsoas, and see Sartorius right here. And you can see the tensor fasciae latae. Same thing, tensor fasciae latae, Sartorius. So let's look at this medial compartment here. This is the medial compartment. So iliopsoas. Below, inferior to the iliopsoas, this tiny glimpse of this muscle, this is known as pectineus, as we saw earlier. These muscles that are shown on the left side of the medial compartment here, the model's left, not our left. These are what we call the adductor muscles. Adductor muscles meaning abduction is the movement of lifting your leg sideways. Adduction is bringing it back. So imagine you're standing on both legs and you move one leg sideways. That's abduction. Bringing it back is adduction. Tensor fasciae latae is the major abductor. It looks a small muscle, but it is probably the most critical abductor. So we got adductor muscles that basically you are going to look at here. The medial compartment is really for the adductors. So here, 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 below these two, these are all adductors. Okay. So that's why you'll hear names like adductor magnus, adductor brevis, adductor longus. These are all the adductors. Okay, so let me erase this writing and the adductor so that we can individually look at these muscles. So pectineus, we just looked at pectineus. This is pectineus. Inferior to pectineus, this muscle is known as adductor longus. So here is the pectineus, here is the adductor longus. Look between the two. This is the border of the adductor longus. This is the border of the pectineus. There's tiny glimpse. This is what we call the adductor brevis. And on the medial compartment, which is they are showing on the right hand side here, the most superficial muscle is the gracilis. So I'm going to use a different color. So here, this muscle, this is the gracilis. So tensor fasciae latae, the primary adductor. We looked at the psoas major, the iliacus, the iliopsoas, tensor fasciae latae, the sartorius, lateral rotation, and then iliopsoas, Pectineus, Adductor brevis, Adductor longus. So I'm just drawing the Adductor brevis. I'm coloring it with green. The tiny glimpse. Adductor brevis and Adductor longus. And on the other side, we are looking at the most superficial muscle. This is also an adductor, gracilis. Okay, so the next few slides, I'm going to skip this because these are the hip joint. So once again, we are looking at the same model that we looked at before, but let's study the muscles of the medial compartment. Okay, then we're going to go over the anterior compartment in a second. So we can see, let me change the color, Sartorius. This is the only muscle that runs from lateral to medial. This would be adductor longus. Pectineus is pretty small. So when this muscle is this large, it can't be pectineus. So pectineus and adductor brevis are kind of hidden. Adductor longus. Then we are looking at here gracilis. You identify gracilis as the muscle that's not only most superficial, but the muscle that goes straight down, not at an angle. Notice how the gracilis is rather vertical. It's a straighter muscle. Then on the other side, still we are looking at the medial aspect. This large muscle, I'm going to change the color here. This large muscle, this and this together, these two are the adductor magnus. Okay, all of that is adductor magnus. I'm going to erase. Notice that. The adductor magnus. Well, right kind of goes. This together, this two, basically all of that is adductor magnus. Okay, so medial compartment muscles. Now the anterior compartment. Let's go over the anterior compartment. The anterior compartment, what we are looking at, anterior compartment basically, if you're looking straight at your thigh, the muscles that you can see, and the muscles that are deeper are the anterior muscles of the anterior compartment. Muscles of the anterior compartment consist of quadriceps femoris. That's basically the largest group. Quadriceps femoris. These include muscles that move the tibia and muscles that move the femur too. Okay. So what we are looking at, this muscle, this is part of the quadriceps femoris group. This is the vastus lateralis. Okay. So with that, we'll end this demo. We looked at the medial compartment. Next demo will be on muscles of the anterior compartment.